Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today, my friends, we are focused on Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer. As we all know, back during Infinite Warfare, we saw the first Modern Warfare Remastered, COD 4 Remastered, which featured a multiplayer aspect to it. Honestly, a pretty fun multiplayer aspect to it. And then a little bit later, we got Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. However, it was just campaign, and ever since then, the entire community has been asking what is going on with MW2 Remastered Multiplayer, because MW2 back in the day, probably the most iconic multiplayer experience ever. Like, it blew up COD, it put COD even more on the radar and really expanded its growth in a massive way. And today we're focused on what's really going on with MW2 Remastered Multiplayer, all the leaks, all the rumors, all the insider information on what this game is supposed to be now that obviously it's been MIA for so long. As we break it all down, if you enjoy the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with all things going on. So feel free to hit that sub button. That way you can always guarantee you are up to date. So first things first, let's talk the timeline, because if MW2 Remastered Multiplayer were to be a thing, it would have to drop at the right time. And obviously in a year where Sledgehammer would be making a new COD, that year probably wouldn't make too much sense because obviously MW2 is an IW game. In a year where Treyarch was dropping a COD, that probably also would not make that much sense. It'd have to be a year where Infinity Ward was developing a COD, which, yeah, that's going to be this year. COD 2022 is led and developed by Infinity Ward. However, this year's COD 2022, is supposed to be Modern Warfare 2, which would be very weird if then we had Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer. You can already see the confusion there, and to a casual player base and to a casual audience, that's already going to cause issues with the player base, splitting the player base, but also people just buying the incorrect game. Imagine asking your parents for COD for Christmas and you tell me you want MW2 and they show up to the store and there's two MW2s. There's way too many twos going on this year, right? So that's problem one with it potentially releasing this year. So let's look to the future. Releasing after MW 2022, I feel like would also be weird, considering Modern Warfare 2022, this year's game, is planned to have a 2-year content cycle, obviously because there's going to be no premium Call of Duty game in 2023, as we previously talked about. And then the year after that, it's not going to be an Infinity Ward year. 2024 is back to Treyarch. So you're looking at very confusing situations. Now, I guess in theory, they could drop it next year when there's no premium COD game, and it would be something to sort of hold us over, you know, but with the other information that we have lined up here, it wouldn't make sense. So the full release of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer at this point, unfortunately, looks to be very, very unrealistic. Why is that? Well, we've got a couple of insider sources, some leakers, some data miners in the community, Ralph's Valve and Tom Henderson. We've talked about both them numerous times on the channel in the past. Each of them have a very credible track record. Recently, Ralph was actually asked about Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer, the status on that, what we can expect from it, and he just straight up said, it's canceled indefinitely. This game is not going to happen. So, you know, going back to the theory of, hey, we're not going to have a premium COD game next year. Maybe they finally drop it since, you know, it's sort of not a full game in and of itself, right? Doesn't look very likely. We also have the most important information here, which honestly, I think is in a way better, the better situation, the better outcome than what we could have had with MW2 Remastered Multiplayer. Tom Henderson said this a while back that initially Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer was planned to be associated and launched near the launch of MW 2019, so obviously back with Modern Warfare's reboot. However, that idea ended up being scrapped. It ended up being pushed back because they were worried about having it be confusing. Again, having Modern Warfare release, but then having Modern Warfare 2 Remastered release at the same time, it would ultimately be an issue from a sales standpoint. And again, it didn't want to split the player base. And honestly, not releasing that with Modern Warfare 2019 was probably the best decision because we all know just how successful that game was. But yeah, Tom said that it was initially planned for MW 2019 and was going to be released alongside that, but because that was scrapped, it was supposed to be shifted and incorporated into Modern Warfare 2022. And that is where we get to the truth, the ultimate outcome of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer. Obviously, MW 2022 this year is going to be huge. It has all these expectations, all this hype that we've talked about previously, and we've had plenty of different rumors and different leaks saying that MW2 2022 is going to actually be comprised of several elements from Modern Warfare 2 initially, or what would be Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer. So we're talking various characters, that's sort of to be expected, obviously Task Force 141. We're talking maps. As of right now, we've heard that Terminal, Favela, High Rise, maps like that are supposed to be returning. Afghan, I believe, was in that conversation as well. We'd also probably see several weapons. I would be very surprised if we didn't see some icons like the ACR, one of my all-time favorite guns, the UMP, the Intervention, the absolute beast that was the F2000. You know, we got to see some of those elements return, and it seems like they're going to actually be a large part of this game. Not necessarily all launch content. You know, obviously look back at Cold War, we had a bunch of old maps debut as DLC throughout the year from previous Black Ops games, you know, with Raid, WMD now even. So we could very well see that even as some of the year 2 content for Modern Warfare 2022. It's also been said that, yeah, they've got their year 1 content relatively planned out. Year 2 is going to be more on the fly and live content updates. Perhaps they do start introducing a lot of old MW2 content into MW 2022 during that second year, as obviously things will be a little bit slower then because it'll be so far post-launch. That to me actually makes a lot of sense. And like I said, I feel like this is the better outcome because not only are we still getting a good chunk of the ideal content from Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer, or what would be that game, but it's being added on to a game that probably is more complete and more full and rich in terms of content than just a standalone remaster of MW2 Multiplayer. Obviously, MW2 Multiplayer by itself is limited to those core maps, to those core guns, unless they went through and added in new DLC for that, obviously, which is a different workload in and of itself. Adding it on top of Modern Warfare 2022 gives us more content and a longer content lifespan, in my opinion, which is a win-win. You're getting the best of both worlds here, right? The new COD with the new content, new maps, new storyline, all that. And you're also getting that old nostalgia-based content from MW2 Remastered as well. If you were just looking forward to that game, yeah, probably not the best news in the world. If you are excited for MW 2022 though, and potentially seeing some throwbacks with that to the original MW2, this is probably very good news. I'd love to hear what you guys think of this down in the comments below. I wanted to talk about this because, especially for some reason over the past couple of weeks, I've been seeing a lot of people ask, you know, what's going on with MW2 Remastered Multiplayer? Vanguard sales aren't really all that hot. Could we maybe see that happen this year? Unlikely. It seems like MW 2022 is going to be Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer plus the new multiplayer experience, DMZ, the new Warzone map, all that sort of released together as a major project instead of having two confusing ones that have nearly identical names released at the same time, right? So all that said, that is going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, each and every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So feel free to subscribe with those notifications turned on. That way you can always stay up to date. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL on all Scuff, G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products. And the links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.